I actually don't have an article or a story or anything, but I do have a question. Okay, and the question for you guys is: if you were to start a trucking company today, what would you do? How would you do it? Okay, Flint, and obviously you had a trucking company. I had a trucking company. And like really, like give me a business model, a business case for a trucking business. And you can't use a cop out and say, oh, I wouldn't start a trucking business. Like let's say everything goes wrong and you do have to start a trucking company. Flint, how do you do it? What's your customer? What's your trailers? Like have you given the starting a trucking company any thought, and how would you do it?
I probably would buy one and not start one.
Okay,
would be my answer, and I would find something that that is majority day, like local or regional, like majority where my drivers are getting home every day for the most part. I would also find something that is highly specialized, whether that is, I wouldn't have a preference really for what it is. It would need to have two things. One, it's not a general commodity, like a general freight market trailer type, like flatbed, dry van, reefer. So none of those.
Okay.
And it would also need to be in a market where it is difficult for an owner operator to compete with me. So it would need some barrier to entry, and whether that is maybe hazmat, or maybe there's some specific customer requirement, right, that I have more of a unique ability to meet than just any one truck owner operator. That's what I would look for. So like some like real world examples, I would avoid, I already said flatbed, dry van, reefer. I would also avoid like end dumps, probably, because anybody with one truck can go buy an end dump. I'd probably avoid corn hoppers, same rule there. I would try to find something in like the tanker, the bulk, potentially, something in that realm is what I would look for.
So very highly specialized, and certainly buy, not build, right? That's kind of the key.
Yeah, I would buy and not build.
Key takeaways. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good answer. Certainly, you're basically positioning right away that like, and obviously because you're the CEO of TruckSpy, you'd want to look for somebody that maybe isn't so technologically advanced, so you could immediately come in there and improve the technology.
Well, that, or I mean, look, the demographics, Alex, are such that baby boomers are selling their businesses in record numbers. They're in a lot of cases a little past when they wanted to retire, but their kids have not wanted to take businesses over. They don't really have a logical heir in a lot of cases, and so there are companies out there that you can acquire. Now, it's going to be more expensive than starting your own from scratch, but you're also going to have volume and net income on day one, and you're going to have a pool of employees and a pool of customers. Valuation's probably somewhere in the 4, 5, 6 times free cash flow, something like that.
Good answer. I like it. Yeah. Matt, let's go to you. You have to start or buy a trucking business. What do you like? What do you do? How do you start?
Okay, so I'm not going to be able to follow Flint's act because he's too smart. So I'm going to take this in a different direction. Obviously, the scenario is the apocalypse if I'm starting a trucking company. So first I want to rewatch Mad Max and see what they did with their fleet. So, maybe some cow catchers, mounted machine guns, harpoons. How am I going to protect my fleet as it's out there in the wasteland? So I'll start there. Realistically, though, I think the one thing to redo, I know the first thing I would do is make sure I'd buy like used vehicles. I want to take that. Investing in new vehicles, to me, I wouldn't want to go through that again. I think it would be smarter just with all the wear and tear to start with you.
I disagree.
But again, I'm going back just simply to P&D. I mean, so when you're talking about like that last mile delivery, I just remember just the wear and tear on the vehicle just seemed just astronomical. I would at least if I were to start from scratch doing the same thing again, I would probably buy used vans rather than new. But I've already stepped in and see Flint already disagrees. Now I'm already nervous about my rationale. So
maybe for vans, I don't know. I've always thought my local FedEx P&D guy, if that's what you're thinking of, or Amazon or USPS or whatever, maybe I would go used. I would probably find like old aluminum Grumman step vans with 4BT Cummins engines and no electronics, and just like let the entire neighborhood smell my diesel exhaust as I accelerate as much as 114 horsepower can give me through the neighborhood, right? Like that's probably, but if I'm in the trucking business, I'm buying new trucks. I might buy used trailers if they're in good shape, but I'm definitely buying new tractors for sure.
Right. And again, the key thing that's interesting about both of your guys' answers is, if you've been in trucking, you've gotten familiar with a certain part of it. And so you could kind of leverage the knowledge that you have and like start again and find the advantage, or find what will make your business distinct. And so that was the key thing. And that's actually no different than my answer. So obviously I had a hotshot fleet, and the one thing that I would do differently is I would, like Flint said, super specialized. And so there's this foam insulation board. I don't know if they use it on like commercial buildings. They use it everywhere basically, but foam insulation board, like the max that it weighs is essentially like in between 5,000 and 7,000 pounds. And so a foam insulation board full load, that's what it weighs, 5,000 to 7,000 pounds. But it requires a full 48. And so you can now get trailers, hotshot trailers, that are 48 feet long. They have 48 feet of deck. Okay. And that's legal length, like totally legal. And it would be considered non-CDL. So you don't need a CDL to operate this vehicle. And so the reason I would focus on non-CDL is because it's much easier to find drivers versus, so in your situation, you're finding specialized drivers. You can pay them top dollar because of it, right? But to open a dry van company, not only are you going to be struggling because every owner operator, every Joe Blow can go get a truck and a trailer and compete with you, you're also then struggling to like keep drivers. So it's like, really, that is not a good market to be in. I wholeheartedly agree there. But with non-CDL, right? So then I can pay a little bit under what a CDL driver would make. So they're like, that would be my spread essentially. But on top of that, I would have a much bigger pool to choose from. Right. And again, because it's insulation, it's lightweight, it's just tarped and strapped, and it's always like, oftentimes it's local delivery. And on top of that, it's unlikely it would get outsourced. The manufacturing would get outsourced because it's just cheaper to bring in the foam as a liquid form or whatever injection. Like they inject it between the two panels, they inject it, and then they just load it up. So the manufacturing will stay in the US for a long time. So it's not a thing you got to worry about. But yeah, it would be just custom 48-foot non-CDL trailers hauling extremely lightweight loads. Extremely lightweight. And same thing with air conditioning units too, like AC units. Same thing with like the curbs that go under the AC units. All of that stuff is lightweight. There's plenty of factories here in Texas too. So like that would be kind of the competitive advantage that like I would lean into, which is like talk to customers and build, like actually order purpose built trailers for that. That's kind of what I was thinking. What are your thoughts on that, Flint?
No, that's a great idea. As long as you've got a lock on the trailers and they're hard to get, right? And,
yeah, impossible actually.
Yeah. Well, fabricate your own, right? I mean, like that's what trash haulers, like look at the guys that haul, it's tractor trailer, but that haul trash for municipalities. They've got super special built trailers that have compactors on them, and like it would be really hard to, you either build it, like I think there's one manufacturer and they probably are booked out for 3 years, right? And there is no used market for that. So like that's the kind of thing that you've got to find.
Right. Right. Well, I also want to hear from you guys, the viewers. Comment below. What do you like? Let's say you've given some thought. You want to start a trucking business. What competitive advantage? Like, how do you start, or how do you buy so that you have that competitive advantage, so that you're not going out of business really quickly, so that you can be profitable. I really want to see those comments and responses, because I feel like this is an interesting topic. Like, we're all smart here. We all have experience in the industry, and it's like, what could we do differently, or maybe what advice could we give? And somebody takes this idea and run with it. Hey, by all means, you know what I mean? Like, the good for you. So obviously none of us are going to go out and start trucking businesses,